I've been thinking about my life lately, how I live my life. I've been thinking about how I like to see everything in my life as a chore, hard work. How I like to set my life up, sort of a chore reward dynamic. So I can do the work I have to do, but not just my job. A chore can be anything. Taking visitors to Stanley Park, buying a Christmas tree, shopping for socks, anything. But all the while looking forward to when I can just sit back and relax and have a smoke and a drink, stuff my face, get a woman, watch TV, or preferably a creative combination of the above. But I've been hearing this nagging little voice lately telling me I'm not really living my life. Anyway, after 25 or 30 years of living for my comforts, and some addictions, I start to sense that maybe I'm not really happy. Maybe there is something more. But this creates a problem, because once you realize you're not happy, and you decide you want to do something about that, then you may have to let go of some of your addictions and comfort activities and replace them with what? Real life things. Accepting a dinner invitation from a friend who'd rather talk than watch television. Hiking on Grouse Mountain. Flossing. Listening to CBC. Even the thoughts of letting go of my comforts makes me feel nauseous. But then there's that little voice again saying you need to find your comfort, inside yourself and not outside yourself. Which is, of course, another chore. So then what I got to do is I got to find some new, more acceptable thing from the outside, like chocolate, to comfort me in my chore of finding something on the inside, just for a little while, till I've had some success at finding something on the inside. But boy, oh boy, it starts to get confusing when you start to want and value the new comfort from the outside more than the little you're getting from the inside. And this makes perfect sense in a way, because I don't really believe that there's anything much inside myself to get anyway. And a little voice says, no, that's not quite right. And I start to wonder, where is that little voice coming from? It's not the same as the other voice that tells me to give myself what I want. So I light up a smoke and think about all this, Figure it out, because I do think better when I am smoking. And in fact, there have been studies, scientific studies, that prove that smoking actually stimulates brain activity. Which is why most creative people smoke. So I think about these voices that seemingly want me to do opposing activities for myself. And then I start to wonder, well, what is this self anyway? And I decide to go to Banyan Books. Try and find this one book that will tell me about all these different voices and selves, but holy smokes, when I get there, there are so many books on so many different subjects, and I seem to think I should know about all this stuff, because all the other people at Banyan seem to know what they're doing, because they seem to know where they're going. And I wonder if asking for help is I don't know, codependent. Or is it interdependent? I wonder if asking for help is like no longer being anonymous. Maybe asking for help is like connecting with my vulnerability. And maybe I should surrender to this voice because there's so many books. And the store staff are so calm. They must really be enlightened. But hey, I'm a guy, I'm going to pretend I know what I'm doing. Find a book by myself. As I'm walking down the aisles, notice a lot of beautiful women that I might like to be in a relationship with or even marry. Tomorrow? But they seem to, I don't know, a little too healthy, too well adjusted to even approach. So I sit on the hard stool and say, oh, and then I remember a good friend of mine once told me of how a book just jumped out at her when she was in bed. And it turned out to be the perfect book for her at that moment in that time in her life. So I get up and I walk up and down and back and forth, all the aisles holding all the different shelves of all the different books, waiting and wanting desperately for a book to jump out at me. Of course, nothing happened. And then I think what I'll do is I'll repeat this exercise, but this time with my eyes closed, because maybe it's kind of a sensing thing. I'll hear a little voice telling me to stop just at the right place. And I do hear a little voice after a while. It tells me to go out and have a smoke. And I realize I left them in the car, and as I start to leave, all of a sudden I stop because I notice a book. And I can't believe the experience I'm having in this moment. The title is resonating deeply within me. Feel a vibration deep within me. And a voice says, this is it. This is the book. I feel a little excited and frightened at the same time, because all of a sudden I begin to wonder, is this God talking to me? Speaking to me as he has to so many others that bang in books. So I pull the book from its shelf with a beautifully illustrated cover of naked bodies, the Kama Sutra. Of course, this makes perfect sense to me. Of course, this is the perfect way for me to find myself, maybe even God. And as I flip through the pages, looking and reading, I start to feel intimidated by something. I'm not quite sure what it is. And I realize how much this book costs, and I remind myself, I'm not actually in a relationship right now. Then I notice another book with a bright yellow cover, Soulful Sex. And it seems easier to read. And although there are no pictures, it is cheaper. So I hold both these books in my hand, feeling the weight, eyes closed, trying to decide, because I seem to be hearing two different voices simultaneously, each pulling me in a different direction. And then I hear another voice, and it's soft and gently saying, get the Soulful Sex book. And I can hardly believe I finally got in touch with my feminine voice. And I open my eyes, and there's a woman standing there smiling at me knowingly. And I know I've been caught with my eyes closed doing this new age feeling and sensing approach to decision making. I can't quite tell what she looks like, and I can only hold her gaze for just a second. Then I look back down at the books in my hand, feeling silly and stupid. Then I look up at her again, perhaps seeing her for the first time. And now I immediately recognize she doesn't have the look of someone I'd approach in a bar, but there is something about her. And I look at her hair, her skin, her lips, her eyes, her breasts, her hips. Then I sense maybe this isn't the way to be treating someone who's trying to help me. Maybe anyone at all. Start to feel embarrassed. Or is it shame? And I notice I've pulled my stomach in. And I wonder, is this the beginning of body consciousness? And I connect with her eyes once more, this time feeling from her and within myself an openness. She says something, I don't quite hear her. I say, pardon? She says, oh, get the Soulful Sex book. I thought parts of it were quite good. It really opened the door for me and my husband. And she glances to one side, and he appears, her husband. And he gathers the context immediately, and he says with a quiet humor, yeah, don't get that Kama Sutra. I just felt intimidated. And a simultaneous goodbye and good luck, and they move out of view. Well, I feel badly for objectifying this human being, and sad that I have no one in my life like her, and I'm not as well adjusted as I think he is. Then I wonder about that for a second. How did this guy get so self-actualized? And maybe I should ask him, because this is what I want, it's what I'm looking for. And if he could tell me, God, just save me so much reading time. Not to mention money on books. And I wouldn't have to do it by myself. And I could get this actualizing thing over and done with. Because I don't really believe I can do it by myself. So I put back the Kama Sutra, because I decided to get the Soulful Sex book, mostly because it makes me feel the connection with her. And then I wait for a few moments, because I've also decided I don't want to engage with that couple again. Reckon almost perfect moment. So I take the book to the counter to pay for it. They give me a little stamp card that will help me with a discount one day after I buy so many books. I can't imagine reading that many books. But I put it in my wallet anyway, because, hey, you never know, and I don't want to offend the salesperson. Then they ask me if I like a bag, and I say, no, thanks, because I want to do my share in saving the environment. And as I leave the store, I see that couple again. They're getting in their car across the street. It's a Miata, and it's parked directly in front of me. This is beyond coincidence. And I feel like it's a message telling me, go and talk to this guy asking that question. Maybe God has given me a second chance here. When am I ever going to see him again? So I dash across the street, my heart pounding in my throat. I notice I'm not breathing. I tell myself to calm down. I tap on my thymus. I rap on the driver's side window. It rolls down. And it's her. She's driving the Miata. And I can't imagine. What is wrong with him? And I feel deeply confused for a moment. But I know it would be rude and stupid to walk around to the other side, so I bend down to the car window. They're both waiting there expectantly. Oh, man. I smell her perfume. I have an overwhelming desire to kiss her on the mouth. I feel my head start to tilt forward. I pull back, resist, immediately hear my voice shake as I say, thanks for the recommendation. I did get that Soulful Sex book. Bye. As I head towards the car, I start to get that old familiar feeling of incompetence washing over me. I get in the car, I throw the book on the passenger seat, and I light up a smoke. And after a few moments, a small voice breaks through, telling me in my own way, maybe this book did jump out at me. Maybe it is a voice from God. My hands move towards the book. I pick it up and start to read. And I start to recognize, I've always had more than one voice. I've just never listened very much to the one that takes me away from my comfort. And I remember my battles with exercise and all the various ab machines I have in my closet that I bought from infomercials. And then I gave myself permission not to exercise.